Woo, woo. Hope you're all safe. It's so nice to be with family. You know, I also have a family. Would you like to meet my family? Come, I'll show you.
Dog family. Dogs, wolves, foxes, jackals, coyotes belong to this family. A member of the dog family is called a canid. Dog family includes both pet and wild dogs. Members of dog family include true meat eaters, as well as those animals which can eat a variety of food material. Dogs were probably the first tamed animals. Dogs have been man's best companion for over 12,000 years. Wild canids are found on every continent except Antarctica. Almost all canids have long legs and flexible bodies adapted for chasing prey except for bush dogs, raccoon dogs, and some domestic breeds. The common features of the members of this family are that they are hunters. Almost all canids live and hunt in groups. Wolves live in large groups called packs. Wolves are the largest member of the dog family. Wolves are true meat eaters or carnivorous and all work together to hunt and kill. African wild dogs have the largest packs comprising of up to 90 animals. They hunt together as a pack and can kill prey larger than they are. Foxes are generally smaller than other members of the dog family. They possess a bushy tail called brush, and they have long, narrow, protruding nose and mouth. Red fox is the most common and widespread among foxes. The fennec fox is the smallest of all the world's foxes. Foxes eat a variety of foodstuff and eat whatever is easily available around them. Gray fox and raccoon dog are the only two canids which can climb trees. The coyote, also known as American jackal, bush wolf, or prairie wolf, is one of the canid which is found throughout North and Central America. Young canids are born blind, and they require a long period of parental care. They are kept in a den, often dug into the ground, for warmth and protection. Canids communicate with each other by various means, which include scent signals, visual clues, gestures, and sounds like growls, barks, and howls.
Now you know my family.
Yes, Snoopy, now we know your family. Good morning, children. Hope you're all doing good. So, you saw the dog family. The members of the dog family are known as canids, and you've seen that the fox, the wolf, the jackal, the coyotes, the raccoon, they all belong to this canid family. Now you know that dog and the wolf are closely related and they are called canids. They were all wild animals and the wolf still is, but the dog is tamed. Over the centuries, human beings have domesticated and tamed wild animals, and dogs were the first ones to be tamed by humans. So, here We have a story about how the dog became a tame animal. So now watch the story.
How the dog found himself a master. Dogs were once their own masters and lived the way wolves do, in freedom. Until a dog was born who was ill-pleased with this way of life. He was sick and tired of wandering about by himself, looking for food and being frightened of those who were stronger than he. He thought it over and decided that the best thing for him to do was to become the servant of one who was stronger than anyone on earth. And he set out to find such a master. He walked and he met a kinsman of his, a big wolf, who was as strong as he was fierce. "Where are you going, dog?" the wolf asked. "I am looking for someone to take up service with. Would you like to be my master, wolf?" "I don't see why not," the wolf said. And this agreed upon, the two of them went on together. They walked and all of a sudden, the wolf lifted his nose, sniffed, darted quickly off the path and into the bushes and crept deeper into the forest. The dog was much surprised. "What's come over you, master?" he asked. "What has frightened you so? Can't you see? There's a bear out there, and he might eat up both of us, you and me." Seeing that the bear was stronger than the wolf, the dog decided to take up service with him. And he left the wolf and asked the bear to be his master. The bear agreed to this readily and said, "Let us go and find a herd of cows. I'll kill a cow and then we can both eat our fill." They walked on and soon saw a herd of cows. But just as they were about to come up to it, they were stopped by a terrible noise. The cows were mooing loudly and running in a panic in all directions. The bear looked out from behind a tree, and then he too ran hastily deeper into the forest. "Now why did I have to come here?" said he to the dog. "It is the lion who rules the forest in these parts." "The lion? Who is he?" "Don't you know? He's the strongest beast on earth." "Well then, I'll say goodbye to you, bear. I want a master who is stronger than anyone on earth." And off the dog went to ask the lion to be his master. The lion agreed to it, and the dog stayed with him and served him for a long, long time. It was a good life, and he had nothing to complain of, for there was no stronger beast in the forest than the lion, and no one dared touch the dog or offend him in any way. But one day, the two of them were walking side by side along a path that ran amid bare cliffs, when all of a sudden the lion stopped. He gave a great roar and struck the ground angrily with his paw, with such force that a hole formed there. Then he began to back away very quietly. "What is it, master? Is anything wrong?" asked the dog, surprised. "I smell a man coming this way," the lion said. "We'd better run for it, or we'll be in trouble." "Oh well, then I'll say goodbye to you, lion. I want a master who is stronger than anyone on earth." And off the dog went to join the man, and he stayed with him and served him faithfully. This happened long, long ago, but to this day, the dog is man's most loyal servant and knows no other master.
Enjoyed watching the story? I'm sure you did. So you saw that how the dog, he decided to find a master for himself. He decided to be a servant of the strongest beast on earth, and finally he chose man because he realized that man was the strongest beast on earth, and to this day the dog remains man's best friend. So now for today, We are going to read the first 4 paragraphs of our story. We'll be reading these for better understanding and comprehension of the text. So this time I'm going to read, and along with me you're going to read. So I hope you all have your text ready in front of you. Some of you must not be having the textbooks, so not to worry. The text will be running on your screen. So you can see here how the dog found himself a new master. Dogs were once their own masters and lived the way wolves do, in freedom, until a dog was born who was ill-pleased with this way of life. Ill-pleased means not happy. So the dog was not very happy roaming around. He was sick and tired of wandering about by himself, looking for food and being frightened of those who were stronger than he. Wandering about means roaming aimlessly. He used to roam around aimlessly from one place to another, looking for food, and then he was afraid of all those stronger animals also. He thought it over and decided that the best thing for him to do was to become the servant of one who was stronger than anyone on earth, and he set out to find such a master. So, when he decided that he would be a servant of someone who is stronger than anyone on earth, so he set out. So he started his journey to find out such a master. And not to forget that we have a while reading activity which we have to complete after reading the text. So please be very attentive, because we will be giving answers to the questions which are there in the while reading activity. So now I hope you're all ready to read. Yes, let's begin. He walked, and he met a kinsman of his, a big wolf who was as strong as he was fierce. Kinsman means relative and fierce means frightening. So he met a wolf who was as strong as he was frightening. "Where are you going, dog?" the wolf asked. "I'm looking for someone to take up service with. Would you like to be my master, wolf?" Take up service with means to become a servant of. So when the wolf asked the dog where he was going, the dog told him that he was looking for a master, and he asked the wolf that if he would like to be his master. "I don't see why not," the wolf said. And the wolf told the dog that he didn't mind being his master, because the wolf was also getting a servant, so he didn't mind taking the dog as his servant, and now the dog became the wolf's servant. They walked, and all of a sudden the wolf lifted his nose, sniffed, darted quickly off the path and into the bushes, and crept deeper into the forest. Darted means moved. So the wolf, he sniffed into the air, he could smell something, and then he quickly moved from the path and he went into the forest. The dog was much surprised. "What's come over you, master?" he asked. "What has frightened you so?" "Can't you see there's a bear out there, and he might eat up both of us, you and me?" So the wolf told the dog that there was a bear and the bear could eat both of them. So they had to move away from that place to save themselves. Otherwise, the bear would eat both of them. A look at the new words that we came across. First word, ill-pleased. Ill-pleased, not happy. You remember I told you while reading the text? Second word is wandering. Wandering means roaming aimlessly. Third word, kinsman. Kinsman is a relative. Fierce. Fierce means violent, frightening. Fifth word, take up service with. So this phrase we came across, remember? So this means to become a servant of. Sixth, darted. Darted means moved quickly. Now, tax your brains a little with this activity. You have to answer the questions which are there on your screen. The first question, who was the master of the dog in the beginning? Second, why was the dog ill-pleased? Third, whom was the dog afraid of? Fourth, what did the dog decide to do? Fifth, who was the dog's kinsman? And sixth, why did the wolf get frightened? So now you have to answer these questions, and for these I'm going to give you 2 minutes time, and after 2 minutes we'll be discussing what we have written. Yes. Now let's check our answers of while reading activity. The first question was, who was the master of the dog in the beginning? The answer is, the dog was his own master in the beginning. He lived in freedom. The second question was, why was the dog ill-pleased? The answer is, the dog was ill-pleased with his way of life. He was tired of searching food for himself and was also afraid of all the animals who were stronger than him. Third question was, whom was the dog afraid of? The answer is, the dog was afraid of all the animals who were stronger than him. Our fourth question was, what did the dog decide to do? The answer is, the dog decided to find a master for himself. Next question was, who was the dog's kinsman? The answer is, wolf was the dog's kinsman. The last question was, why did the wolf get frightened? So the answer for this is, the wolf got frightened of the bear. You remember when he saw the bear, he got frightened and he rushed into the forest. Now let's do something interesting. Let's analyze the title of the story, How the Dog Found Himself a Master. The first word, how, is a question word. The next word, dog, is a common noun. Found is the past form of the verb find. Himself is a reflexive pronoun and master is a common noun. Two other words that you can see, the and a, they are both articles. Today in this class, we'll focus only on question words. The nouns and pronouns we'll take up in the next class. These words are also known as interrogative words, and these words ask for the information and expect an answer other than yes or no. You cannot answer these questions in yes or no. Just remember this. It is important to know the purpose of each question word, and these question words begin with the letters WH. Except the word how, all question words, they start with WH. Let's look at them. What, when, where, why, which, who, whose, whom. What asks for information. For example, what do you keep in your bag? When refers to time. For example, when will we go to school? When will we cut the cake? Where refers to place. For example, where do you live? Where is your sister? Why? Why asks for a reason or purpose. For example, why are you asking so many questions? Why are you crying? Who, whose, whom are used to ask about people. Who. Who is used when the answer is the subject of the verb. For example, who is he? And the answer will be, he is my brother. So he is the subject and is the verb. Next word is whose. Whose is used to talk about the ownership. For example, whose house is this? Whose pen is this? Next word is whom. Whom is used when the answer is the object of the verb. For example, whom is she talking to? The answer can be, she is talking to her sister. Here, the sister is the object to the verb talking. How. How asks about manner and method. For example, how will you go home? How will you bake the cake? How many. How many asks about countable quantity. For example, how many students attended the class? So this is a countable quantity. We can count the students, the number of the students. How much. How much asks about uncountable quantity. For example, how much do you love your parents? Love is an uncountable quantity. We cannot count love. So we use much instead of many with how. I hope now they are clear to you. And now I have an activity for you based on what we've learned in our lesson. Now you have to fill up these 10 fill in the blanks which are there on your screen. You have to fill in the correct question word. One thing you must have observed that these interrogative sentences, they begin with a question word and end with a question mark. So here now what you have to do is you have to choose one correct question word and fill up in the blank. And as a hint, I have given you the answers, the expected answers of these questions I have already given you as a hint so that you fill in the correct question word. So, 2 minutes to do this. Go ahead. Now let's discuss the answers. Our first question was, where do you live? So you can see the answer. It was written in Delhi, and Delhi is a place. So with place, the question word that we use is where. Second, what is your hobby? Because the answer was drawing. Third, who is that man at the door? The answer was my uncle, right? So fourth one, now you can see, when will the movie start? Answer, you must have seen at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock is the time. So for time, we use when. Fifth, whose book is on the table? Answer is, it's mine. And whose is used to talk about the ownership. So it's mine means I own it. Sixth sentence, which game do you like? Seventh, how will you go to Jaipur? The answer was by car. So what is the way? Which we are talking about the manner. Why are you crying? You can see the answer. I've lost my ball. So the reason for my crying is that I've lost my ball. So we use the word why. Ninth sentence, we'll first look at the answer. The answer is 3 lessons. So it's a countable quantity, and so we will be using how many lessons do you have to learn. 10th sentence, we are asking the price of the juice, right? So we say how much is the juice for? So juice is uncountable quantity. That is why we have used how much. So I hope you've checked your answers. Today you will give yourself marks also out of 10. So each correct response means 1 mark. So count how many correct answers you have and give yourself marks out of 10. And I'm sure you'll mark yourself very honestly. Okay. Now a quick recapitulation of what we've learned. Yes. Why was the dog unhappy? The dog was unhappy with his way of life. He was tired of searching food for himself and was also afraid of all the animals who were stronger than him. Second question. What did the dog decide to do? Yes, the dog decided to find a master for himself. Who was the dog's kinsman? You remember? The dog's kinsman was the wolf. Whom did he first choose as his master? He first chose the wolf as his master. And the last question is, whom was the wolf frightened of? So I hope you remember, the wolf was frightened of the bear. It's very important that we revise what is done in the lesson. So for that revision, I am giving you the home assignment. So your first question for your home assignment is, why did the dog feel the need for a master? And the second is, who did he first choose as his master? Why did he leave that master? And the second interesting assignment is that you have to complete the summary. I have written the summary for you with incomplete sentences. So what you have to do is you have to fill in those blanks and complete the summary. So till we meet again for the second lecture of this lesson, bye bye and do your work. Thank you.